What's up, my guys? It's Al here, playing some more Scrap Mechanic. Today we're going to be looking at another gear car. I know some people don't really enjoy gear cars, however, lately a lot of people have been showing support for it, and a lot of people have been liking it, as well as I've liked making them. Today we're going to look at another one. I keep progressing, people keep giving me challenges and ideas, and I keep building off what I've done, trying to make it better and better. And today's is probably one of the biggest leaps I've had since the piston update. It's probably one of the biggest leaps I've had. And this is officially Gear Car 20. There has been so many different changes I've been doing, improving upon it. And one of the biggest things of this one is a full engine redesign, as well as there is a complete rear suspension on this. I have not done any four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive systems yet. So far, this is my best masterpiece, I guess to say. So, to run down through it, I did redesign the engine entirely. This is kind of a concept built off something Alstrak made. While I didn't use his design exactly, I did take some inspiration from it and change the timing system. The reason I had to do that is because 8-cylinder engine I've always been using is too much for this build. It creates too much lag and it's unplayable at some points. While the 4-cylinder engines I'm used to making for smaller builds, while able to run the vehicle, wasn't enough to get a decent speed or anything else out of it. So I had to do a 6-cylinder, and I didn't have any timing systems, so I ended up looking at some of his stuff and building something inspired by his, like I said. As you can see, the timing system is attached to the shaft itself, or I should say the piston itself, and this way I can add as many pistons as I want, or as few pistons as I want, and it doesn't have to work off a base 4 like my old timing system had to. That way I can expand as needed. As we come back, we go back to the gearing system. This gearing system is not really built to be off-road. It's meant to be a faster gearing system. However, the creation itself does for off-road situations. And overall, I guess it's kind of a well-rounded build. And as we come back, this is how the rear suspension actually functions. So this here takes all of the gear power here, which is your first, your second, reverse, puts it into this little drive rod here, and then it drives it through your can't think of the word for it. There's an actual term for it and I can't think of it. What is that? Drive shaft. There we go. And it sends it through this drive shaft. Now this drive shaft has an arm which comes out here and pivots it. And what this does is whenever this is lifted, it simply pivots around that gear. So if I go, it sits and pivots around that gear, which means even if it is angled or changed, it will still get contact because of the pivot's position. Ensures that. Power comes through the drive shaft and all the way back here. There is no differential on this. Once again, it's a straight axle like I've always been using. But where these two gears mesh, there's also another point of pivot right there. And that point also allows the axle to rotate. So I can get a decent amount of flex up until about there before it starts to fail. There we go. And how I secured the axle itself is similar to what I did on the 7-bearing car front axle. If you've ever seen that video, that's kind of what I used here, and it works. Every once in a while it will pop out of this little ring, but I've only had that once in the entire time I've used it. You have your springs up top, and the pistons bring it down from its set level, because when it's on a lift, the axle is actually completely straight, and then the pistons extend, pushing it down. And you have a nice bouncy rear axle. The front suspension is still your basic suspension, but that wasn't what I was focusing on for this. So now that we've kind of gone over it, I did forget one thing. A lot of people have been asking me to put shells on these. Yes, I can put shells on them, but one problem is that weight does affect the vehicle, and the power of the engine does reflect that. So while this does look nice, it's not the best uphill because of the weight added. But it can still get up most hills. However, it's best used on flat ground. Going through the buttons, 1 and 2 are first and second, 3 is reverse, and 4 starts your engine. This is one of the few vehicles that I actually have that have the ability to turn off your engine. Something I probably should add in a lot more, but I've been forgetting to. Now that the engine's going, it's going pretty decent. I can hit 1 and we'll leap into action. And one thing I've noticed with this axle is because it can flex as it is, there's a lot of torque which will lift usually the front right and only the front right wheel off. And it's just the way that the drivetrain and all that acts on the rear axle does do that. And actually, if you've ever seen things like tractables and stuff like that, it is an actual thing that occurs normally in some vehicles if you put them under high strain. Here it just happens often. So right now we're sitting in first gear and we are moving along pretty well. So if I go into second, we will start to pick up speed. It isn't, like I said, it's not my fastest, but it does have that rear suspension. And one thing I do really love about this with its suspension is you can actually take on some rocks and some odd terrain. So if I could find something that we can test it on, we will do that. And yeah, overall, I guess I just need to drive around so you guys can see what it's capable of. And watch that rear axle. Going to switch into first gear because the second gear wasn't working on that hill. That is a tree stump, so out of first, the third, or into reverse technically. It appears our engine has hung up, and yes, our engine is stopped by that. We will have to put it on a lift, unfortunately. Oh, wrong button. Trying to rotate that. There we go. And one thing about this, can't remember my buttons. There we go. One thing about this little drivetrain and all that is I did design it so I could easily interchange engines. Like I said before, there have been a number of different models. This has had a 4-cylinder, a 4-cylinder with a small crankshaft, 4-cylinder large crankshaft. There's a 6-cylinder, 6-cylinder small crankshaft, and the 8-cylinder, which was used in most of my other builds. And out of all of them, this one is my best. It's 6-cylinder large crankshaft. Ooh. This probably won't work the best. Yeah, it's not going to work well. But as you can see, we can go over some rocks here. I was going to go down in that ditch, but the only problem is, like I said, there is a lot of weight due to this shell that's on this, making it hard to go uphill. But if we go over here, ooh, there's some rocks. We might be able to do some rock climbing with this. Right now we're just sitting in first and carrying right along. I don't know if we can do this. This is a pretty big rock. Ooh! Come on. Yes! I honestly did not expect that. I expected it to get caught up on the lower frame and just stall out right there. One thing that you kind of do have to put a little bit of consideration into is the engine is open on the bottom, so you have to worry about getting that snagged on anything like I did before. What in the world? Why is my... one of the pistons underneath has glitched out. It's not common. I thought I'd fixed it, but it might happen every once in a while. I do want to go back over those rocks just so we can play around with them, because that was... I didn't expect that, honestly. I didn't expect it to take those rocks that well. So once again, we are just sitting in first gear. That front tire broke. First gear once again, come on. This is not full-wheel drive, and we don't have the most powerful transmission. But... come on, transmission. What if we go into second? Of course we're not going to get anything in second. What if we activate first and second? Oh, first. Oh. We jumped to life there, but it seems like our rear axle has bottomed out completely. That's a shame. So we'll just have to hop back out. I do want to... that's backwards. I do want to successfully do this once again. That was fun. Go. Start engine. And engage our transmission. Climb those rocks. Don't snag that axle. Hey, we did it. So yeah, the rear suspension does work. Not only does it keep it well on normal terrain, it does give it the ability to take on some rocks pretty well. And because of the suspension itself, it is a lot higher, so we do have a lot more ground clearance. However, you still have to worry about catching that rear axle, because if you catch that rear axle, you're not going to be going anywhere. At least until I get a four-wheel drive model, which might be what's next if you guys want to see that. Nope, wrong button. There we go. Yeah, there's some rocks over there. We're gonna go rock climbing with this. I don't know how well it can do with these hills, but these rocks it's taking just fine. On engine, don't fail on me now. You know what? We're gonna go over these logs too. And the engine has stalled. Because I have two of the wrong things turned on. Go. First here. Come on, come on, come with me. I want to take these logs and then I want to start going up into those rocky areas, because that might be fun. We might be able to do that. But this front axle, these front tires are what's killing me. Okay, you might be hearing that. We have some asshole with a freaking bike who's running around at 11 o'clock. Good sir, I hope the cops get called on you. Anyway. I don't know if this will make it into the episode, but if you're making it into the episode and you're an asshole riding a bike through the neighborhood at freaking 11 o'clock at night, good for you. But apparently we're not getting through these. Oh, there we go. But we're going to get snagged on our frame. That's unfortunate. Can we reverse out of this? Yes, we can. So apparently that is not going to be the best for us. So I think we looked at everything we need to, and we had our own interruption right there a second ago. So I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here. I do want to do a drive around like I do normally with gear cars, so you can get to see this whole thing in action. Just throw a bit of music on. Some people enjoy it. Some people really do. Some people don't. So for those who do, I'm going to put it there. I'm going to go ahead and end out the episode here. If you did enjoy the episode, please leave a like. If you have any suggestions for future episodes or suggestions on what you'd like to see done with the gear car, please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoy the channel, enjoy what I'm doing, please subscribe. It helps out a lot. And until next time, this has been Al working on more gear cars. Yes, I'm obsessed. And yes, people enjoy it, so I'm going to still do it. Until next time, peace.